Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rangam Career Chat session. I am your host, Roshaunda Green. I'm an account manager for diversity and inclusion at Rangam. And today's topic is interview questions and answers. So I know we spoke about this before, but we had so many interview questions that I said we definitely need a part two. All right, so now let me go and tell you about this awesome company I work for, Rangam. So, Rangam, we are a global staffing company. We focus on connecting qualified candidates with our great clients for great career opportunities, right? So we specialize in the areas of IT, engineering, scientific, clinical, healthcare, administration, finance, and business professional categories. So basically, for every industry, we have a job for you. All right. And now I'll tell you about our Rangam resume sweepstakes. Okay. So originally we had the sweepstakes ending in June. So we started the sweepstakes in April the 1st, and we have extended the sweepstakes until August the 1st because we're getting some great traction and some great contestants. And it is so easy to enter the sweepstakes. All you have to do is go to rangam.com, create your candidate profile, upload your resume, follow Rangam on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and we will randomly choose new winners every week. We've had some great winners that not only won the sweepstakes, but we were also able to match them with some great jobs. So that's a win-win situation. So, and next I'll tell you about some of our resume sweepstakes prizes. Okay, so we have our Rangam umbrella, we have a cool Rangam shirt, we have a water bottle, we have a portfolio, and we have a Rangam bag. So basically, all of the premiums that you would need to uh, to like market Rangam, right? So when it's raining, you umbrella. When you're going out for the day, you wear your Rangam shirt, and when you're thirsty, you use your Rangam cup. And when you're taking notes in your inner, you'll hopefully be able to schedule you for. You'll have your Rangam portfolio, and you can put that portfolio and all of your prizes in the Rangam bag. So that is so cool. And next, let me tell you about our the awesome interview preparation tips. Right. So when you're I think one of the key things once you get the interview, right? Because you had to really work hard, you had to submit, you had to have customized resume, your custom cover letter. You stood out. You have now achieved your goal of actually getting an interview. But once you get that interview, you cannot prepare enough. I mean, there's no such thing as over preparing for an interview. Everything that you do will just help you stand out as a stellar candidate, and that's what you want to do because the workplace is just saturated right now. There's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of candidates, and it's very competitive, more so than it has ever been before. So you have to actually go over and beyond to stand out. And how do you do that? By preparing. So what I did was I pulled some of the popular interview questions that are going to be asked in every interview. I can guarantee it. And what you want to do is, the questions, right? But do you know why they are asking the questions, and how do you need to frame your answers, right? And that is what I'm going to focus on today. So you've heard this question before. What is your greatest strength? And you need to think about what job you have applied for and interviewing for. What's the industry? What who is the person that's interviewing you, right? So your recruiter is going to question, and then the hiring manager will ask you the question. The interview panel will ask you the question, and based off of the type of job that you're interviewing for, you may have an executive round interview panel. So you have to of each person that's asking you this question, why are they asking you that, and how do you frame your response, right? So what you want to focus on is your skills that are highlighted in your resume that align with your job description. Okay, so if someone would ask my greatest strength and I'm going for a recruiting job, then I would definitely say, networking and building strong relationships, and being able to quickly connect with people, right? So that's a strength that aligns with an attribute in the job description that brings it together. So everything that you say should be strategically aligned with, letting them see you in that role and highlighting things that they're looking for from that job description. So every question that you answer should have a laser focus on that job description, then with those transferable skills in your resume, and that's how you gate your responses, and that's why you need to practice. And not only that, document, right? Don't just assume that you've practiced this, you did mock interviews, and you have it down, because your nerves can get the best of you, and that's just facts. So what you do is you take some of these interview questions in your preparation sheet. You should kind of have like a one pager, and for these questions, you can put the answer there that is using your experience and the description, so that you'll have a very strategic response. Okay, and what is weakness? This is a tricky question. Very, very tricky, because you want to be honest, but you don't want to sabotage, and you don't want to reveal, too much, right? And you want to stay professional. So talk about this weakness, be honest, but strategically frame your response, so that it highlights some of your positive skill sets. And you're saying, how can you frame your greatest weakness as a positive skill set? Let me give you my example. Okay, so when I'm in an interview and when they ask about what is your greatest weakness, and I let them know that my weakness is that I have very standards for myself, and sometimes I can overanalyze, or hold on to something until I feel that it is perfect, and that may delay my submission or my response. So with that, I have to be careful to have realistic goals, realistic time frames, and realistic, submission for myself, to make sure that I'm, submitting things on time, that I'm executing, and meeting the project deadline. And I have to give myself permission not to analyze, right? So that is one of my weaknesses. So if you listened very carefully, know that I'm very detail oriented. I have high standards for myself. I triple check my work, and I'm aware of this weakness and how I have, self corrected my weakness while I'm telling you, right? So be able to tell them what your weakness is, but highlighting a positive attribute about yourself, and then letting them know how you have self corrected this weakness. So it's really no longer a weakness, but that you keep your eye on, and you make sure that you are not, repeating that cycle moving forward, right? So who wants an employee who is honest and who is aware and can self correct? That really shows that you're, even if you're an individual contributor in a role, that you're showing leadership qualities, and you're showing how you'll be a strong member of the team if they hire you. See? So you got to think about that. Think about those things very carefully. Okay, and leave. Why did you want to leave or have left your job? This is even trickier than the last question about your weakness, because you don't want to answer in a negative way. You don't want to get too personal. You don't want to vent, and you don't want to speak poorly about the last company, the last manager, or the last team, or the last job you had. No one wants to hear that because all they see in the interview when you're talking negatively about your previous experience, work experience, is that you're going to do the same thing to them if you ever leave and get a new job, or if you get promoted in the organization and you go work for another team. So everything that you're doing is displaying your holistic self, and it's displaying your character. So when you answer this question, you stay professional, you stay laser focused on thinking of realistic, honest, broad things that are typical reasons to leave your job, right, or company. That you were looking for growth opportunities, you wanted to advance your career, or if you were working for a local company and now you're for a national or international company, you wanted to gain more experience working, in different areas. Right, or you relocated, or you were furloughed or laid off, and even when you were, talking about if you were laid off or furloughed, you still talk about your last company in a positive way. It was a great experience. My furlough and my severance package was very attractive, and it allowed me to maintain my lifestyle while searching for another job. So everything that you say to them, you're being positive. Growth opportunities, more money, expanding your knowledge and your network, changing different industries to diversify your work experience and your resume. There are so many positive things that you can think about because no matter what happened at your previous job, it allowed you gainful employment to maintain your lifestyle, to pay your bills, and provide for everything that you needed. Okay, so just think about those positive things, stay broad, and never speak negatively about your previous employer. That is just the number one rule. And what I keep saying over and over and again is conduct your research, customize your answers. So, and how that helps you is when I was interviewing for Rangam, the questions that they asked me, I not only thought about my work experience and my academic contributions and knowledge, I also thought about what was their vision, what was their mission. Paid close attention not only to my job description, but did research on all their social media platforms, on all of their websites to continue to find those intersections, those connection points, those things that I can speak about. That helps me to let them know that I'm a great culture fit. I'm bringing the experience that you need, and I can also bring advancement opportunities to this role, right? So I'm bringing in, media, which opened the door for me to have, for Rangam to give me this great opportunity to have this career chat where I'm sharing information with you. And that makes so much sense. We're a staffing company. We're trying to attract candidates to connect you with our great clients. So when we're having this career chat, we're hoping that you go to rangam.com, upload your resume, join our network. So our great account managers and recruiters can connect you with great clients, and then you'll tell more people about us, and we'll just keep growing and finding more opportunities. And with this career chat, you see that we really care about the candidate. We want to prepare you for these interviews, and we're making investments into your career by preparing you. Okay. And next, let's talk about our categories, right? So, career chats are great, information is great, but you always want to know I'm unemployed or I'm making a career pivot. And I think that from what you're saying, Rangam is a great company. So, when I my candidate profile, then and I start doing my job search on rangam.com, then what types of jobs will be available to me? So it's good for you to know how we operate in our categories, right? Because every company has, different names for their different industries and categories. So at Rangam, we have our operations roles, right? Some people may call them the business roles. Some people may call them corporate. We call them operations. So under the operations category, if you were to conduct your search, then you would see administrative roles. You'll see customer service. You'll see some program managers. You'll see a lot of data entry roles. And this is just a short list of some of our, frequently, category names for those jobs. And then we have so many warehouse roles. So you'll see some assembler, you'll definitely see a forklift, and you'll see some site superintendents, some supervisors, and some managers. And the great thing about a lot of our warehouse roles and all of our roles that they start off contract. Some may be contract to hire. Some we even have some direct hire opportunities. So definitely, look into that. And then we have our categories are called clinical and scientific. So, and some companies they'll call it medical, some may say pharmaceutical. So for us, categories are clinical and scientific. And with COVID, we have just received so many of those jobs. It's and they have some jobs where I do a lot of research, and they say these are COVID-proof industries or COVID-proof jobs. So this is definitely one because there's such a high demand and a need for all these clinical and scientific roles that if you have that knowledge, then you definitely will find a lot of opportunities on rangam.com. And as you can see, IT has its own little category over there because we have so many IT roles. So I definitely want you to go out to rangam.com and start searching for jobs today. But I went a level deeper. I told you the categories. I gave you some examples of some of the job titles we have over there. As a job searcher or job seeker, you're like, I'm really curious about what available jobs they have right now. So we go to the next slide, and I actually pulled some of our hot jobs. So we have our job descriptions here, and I kept them under the category where you would find them if you searched rangam.com or when you search, because that's definitely something that you should be doing as soon as possible. Okay, so for our operations, and this is the cool thing too, right? We have some remote jobs. Now, when you go out to rangam.com, pay very close attention. Some jobs will say remote 100%, right? Some may say remote until COVID. That means that so if it's remote 100%, you can just live anywhere and apply for the job and work from home. You may not ever go into the office. Okay? If it says remote until COVID, that means that working from home, but you still want to be in a 20 to 40-mile radius of that job whenever they decide to bring people back in. You need to be able to comfortably commute to that place. So you definitely have to be in that same state and within a 20 or 40-mile radius. Some will say half remote, half site. So what that you may work 2 days in the office and 3 days from home. So just pay very close attention and read those job descriptions carefully before you apply, right? Because some people are living in one state and applying for a job in another state, and they have no problem with relocation. So if that's something that you are willing to do, then make sure that in your resume and when you're in your cover letter that you make that very clear, willing to fund my own relocation. And that way, the recruiter will consider your resume instead of just pulling, those candidates in that area. Okay. Or if you're willing to fund your own relocation, so say you're living in Georgia now, you're applying for a job in California. So on your resume, you can just probably just put, a city or state in California, wherever the job is. Because if you're willing to relocate, then you're letting them know that you're already committed to that. So those are things because when the recruiters are Boolean search. They'll put 3 to 5 keywords in, right? And in that keyword, the zip code of those candidates will also be pulled. So it'll say, pull me, all the candidates within a 20-mile radius of this work address that has these 3, to 5 skills. So when you're not being, called for jobs to apply for in different states, then you have to think about, what was the address, the city, and the not even the address, but the and the state and the zip code that I had on my resume. Okay. So some small things that you can do and small changes that you can make that will help you get pulled in the Boolean searches from the recruiter. And the reason why I'm focusing on this is because when I'm doing informational interviews and interacting with candidates, and they tell me 4 or 5 states that they're willing to fund their own relocation to, but on their resume, they have the current city and state that they're living in, then I immediately tell them that if you're applying for these jobs in these 4 other states that you identified, make sure to change your city and state and zip code on your resume. Because once we submit you to our client, they're going to pay attention to that too. They're going to think about the relocation. They're going to think about your accessibility for the interviews. They're going to think about how soon will you be able to start. All of these things may be barriers that may, have your resume be put aside, and then they'll think of a candidate that is like immediately available, that lives closer, and that will make a seamless transition process if we hire them. So think of those things. Always think like the recruiter, think like the hiring manager. But in order to do that, you have to know the process. Okay. So I went a little deeper in that because I'm seeing that a lot. And I just wanted to give you guys a tip about that, all you job seekers. Okay, so let's go right into these operations jobs. So, what I do for a lot of my jobs is I will just put remote in the title. Right? Because when you're doing a job search, you're just scrolling through these websites and you look at the job title, and that may be interesting to you, but you may not click for the description unless something really stands out for you. Right? Want people to know immediately if a job is remote, I'm going to put it in the title because that will not only help to pull up in your search, but it also help when you're scrolling through a company website to see their availabilities. But this diversity recruiter job that's remote is very unique. There are so many recruiters, but I need a recruiter that has ability background and knowledge with working with candidates with autism, neurodivergence, and disabilities. Rangam has a division called 𝐸, and at 𝐸, we focus on connecting candidates with autism, neurodivergence, and disabilities with our clients who have autism at work programs or accept their accommodations. So we are searching for a diversity recruiter that can work on that 𝐸 team that can really connect us with some great, unique, qualified candidates. Okay. And we have a marketing consumer analyst, and that's in Massachusetts. And you'll be focusing on building framework and delivering insights to the marketing team. We have a sales analyst in Santa Carla, California. You'll be supporting the sales team. We also have CSR is customer service rep. We have a lot of those opportunities, and that is in California. But for this customer service rep, you are actually solving customer problems because some customer service reps, you're doing intake or data entry or placing orders. This customer service rep, you're actually going to be resolving customer issues. We have so many administrative assistant and executive assistant jobs. So when I'm pulling these jobs, I'm just pulling a few, but we have them in multiple states. So just because a couple of city and states are highlighted here, it's just one of many jobs. And we're always adding new jobs every day. So for the data entry clerk, and for a lot of data entry, they will have their internal system that you'll be working with, but they'll usually want you to have knowledge in Office. And for this job, they want you to be proficient in Excel and Access. And for data entry roles, it's something good to know. They're looking for a certain keystroke per hour. So when you see KSPH is keystrokes per hour, and the minimum that they'll usually, accept is 8,000. So if 1,000 alphanumeric keystrokes per hour, then you can qualify for a lot of our data entry roles. And then you layer that with your experience with Microsoft Office. And then that would make you a really great candidate for that role. And then we have the human resources coordinator. They want you to have some type of basic knowledge in human resources. And for a coordinator job, if you were administrative assistant to anyone in the human resources department, this would be a great job for you because you have knowledge and understanding of, that dialogue and things that are required in the human resources area. Okay, so now I'm going to jump right to these warehouse roles. So for the assembler, they just want you to have basic warehouse experience. For a forklift operator, it's really great certification. But if you have some previous forklift experience at other warehouses, then that's great too. We really want you to have at least a minimum of 6 months experience working on a forklift. Okay, electronic technician. For that role, you'll definitely need some type of certification and previous experience in that area. A warehouse operator, you don't have to have a lot of experience. It's good to have some type of stable work history, but it's very flexible. As long as you can really show during that interview that you're a team player and you'll work hard and you're committed, then you're a good candidate for that job. Shipping and receiving clerk. So when you see shipping and receiving, it's usually a forklift operator that's assisting with the components of that job. And we have a lot of site superintendents. So if you worked in a warehouse for years or you were a lead team member, then this site superintendent would be great for you because they want someone who has extensive experience, at least a minimum of 5 years. A strong candidate will really have 10 years for that role. And now we go into our IT. So a lot of our IT roles are remote, and some are on site. So when you look at those roles, it's really good to like pay attention and go into the description because a lot of these roles are remote. So we have our senior manager that's here in Georgia. We have an IT service analyst, and that's in Alabama. We have a data center technician, and that's in Missouri. And what this is entry level, and what we want someone to do is be on site to assist with the data technician team. So this is a great entry into IT. I know that I talked to a lot of candidates that are finishing up their certificate or certification programs. They're making a career pivot and they don't have a lot of IT experience. So when you this role has a data center technician, you'll be on site with them, really maintaining a lot of the coordinating role for the data technicians, but also learning a lot. So great career pivot for those who are just getting their certificate or certification and don't have any work experience is. So for the data analyst role, they're going to want you to collect data, collect data and develop Tableau dashboards. So that's something that I see in a lot of resumes. So this role will be great for you. We have so many software engineer roles, but for these roles, they're going to want a minimum of 3 years experience of successfully executing tasks in that role. So I do know that a lot of people that are just getting their certificate or certification or recent graduates, you have this academic knowledge. But when you're making that entry into IT, make sure you're paying close attention qualifications. So some may say junior or associate, and that's really when you're just coming in on the ground floor. But when it doesn't have junior or associate in front of it, and they're talking about software engineer, senior engineer, we just need more work experience. So have a technology analyst, and you'll provide cloud-based procurement and invoicing solutions through their SaaS tools. Okay. And I have the font really small because I tried to maximize this space just to go to Rangam.com. And then we go into our clinical and scientific roles. We have so many phlebotomist roles in so many different locations. So that is a really great career to focus on if you want to get in clinical and scientific. If you go look at some phlebotomist training centers, it does that you can in a short period of time, based off of the center that you're at or technical school, you can or medical facility that you train at or school, you can get your phlebotomist certification, and it's just a lot of those jobs available. I always see at least 5 or 10 jobs in different states for that role. So we also have a lot of lab jobs. So we have lab assistants, we have quality control senior associates, we have chemist roles. So, and I didn't put the phlebotomist here because there are so many jobs out there. I highlighted a lot, but I just wanted to share it because we do have a lot of those roles, but I wanted to show some other opportunities that we have. We have a lot of finance and roles. Okay. So that's where we have our payroll specialist. And if you're in finance or accounting, PeopleSoft is just a very valuable system to have knowledge on. So for a lot of these payroll opportunities, they are looking for people with PeopleSoft experience. Have the accounts payable processor, you have supply chain coordinator, purchasing clerk, and accounts receivable settlement specialist. So I know I'm thinking of those recent graduates that have supply chain degrees. This coordinator role will be a great entry into that industry for you. So again, we just have so many great opportunities for you. So now we're going to go to my contact information. I've shared so much information with you. So if you have any questions on this presentation, you can always email Roshaunda@rangam.com. You can follow me. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Clubhouse. And you definitely can follow Rangam and 𝐸𝐚𝐧 on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Let me see, what else do we have? And we're on YouTube. So be sure to go out there and follow us. Hopefully you'll go to Rangam.com, set up your candidate profile, and we'll take you from job seeker to employee quickly. So thank you for your time. Until next time, good luck with your job search, and hopefully this information was helpful to you. Bye.